here with my friend Elanor of Whispering Wren, and I'm really looking forward to talking to you today. So let's start off. Introduce yourself. Tell me what you do.
So, hi, I'm Anna. I have Whispering Wren and I make handcrafted keepsakes, ornaments, earrings, using either air dry clay or polymer clay or oven baked clay, as some people might know it. I do a lot of things with boobs and rainbows, and that's kind of what I'm known for is my naked ladies now and boobs.
I love your naked ladies. I've got a pair. I should have worn them. I've got a pair of your
Don't
naked
you like?
ladies. We're going well with the being on brand today. So how did this start? Whispering Wren's relatively new, isn't it?
It's coming up for 18 months old now, which is crazy when I think about it. So it started kind of as a bit of a passion project. It was coming up for Father's Day 2021, and I kept seeing all these keepsake uh, kits where you do like the kids' handprint, and it was my husband's first Father's Day. So I was like, I can make that, and I can make other things that other people might like. So my first thing that I did was a ornament that it's like Happy First Father's Day with a rainbow on it in all rainbow writing, and it did really well. And the best part is I never actually made one for Matt. I never did the handprint thing in the end. That's where it started from. I never actually ended up doing it.
I think I like, so for example, with the breastfeeding milestones, you can get things like jewellery with breast milk in it, or things that can sometimes, I mean, they're lovely, but they can be quite expensive. And I really
Yeah,
like the fact that what you sell is really personal, but also really affordable. And I
yeah.
think you got that point perfect.
And that's what I sort of wanted to do because, like, I was at home, like, I'd never got like maternity pay, so it was I didn't have a lot of money for a lot of the things that you can get, like the jewelry and things like that. And also, I think growing up with an unusual spelling name as well, I want everything personalised all the time. So, and the amount of people that actually have said to me since that have bought things from me and said I wanted it because it was so personalised is really nice, because it's hard to get stuff that's at a good price point, but and affordable, because a lot of people that want these like milestone breastfeeding things are mums who are on maternity pay.
Since starting your business, you have not had the easiest time. And I feel like I
No,
like to talk about it because it's so easy, especially on social media, to be like, hey, look at me, and I'm a mompreneur or whatever.
yeah.
And you know, it's all going really well. And I think it's so important to talk about the challenges, if you don't mind.
No, I've got, so first 6 months went really well, but I was very much um burning the candle at both ends. Like, I had a baby, didn't sleep very well, constantly feeding all day, it felt like. um so Wishing Wren started, and I realised that I can't keep doing this every evening and at weekends when my husband's around. So then my mum started having my baby for me to give me some time to focus on Whispering Wren things. And then this year happened. And so this year we had COVID twice really quickly. We had COVID at the beginning of the year, 6 weeks later we got it again. From that, I then got long COVID. And then I was sort of starting to get better with that. And then I had some dental trouble, which has caused us to get up till now. And I was really poorly. I've had antibiotics after antibiotics. I've had tonsillitis for like 2 weeks. Had flu. My little one as well. She'd been really poorly for a lot of this year. She got everything going. So it's like trying to look after myself and my health, look after as poorly this one who's been poorly a lot, and then somehow run this business
Yeah.
and keep it going. And that has been a real struggle. It's really been hard trying to juggle it all, because it's just not enough hours in the day, it feels like. And I think a lot of small businesses have also felt it this year, that it's just, this year's been a weird one for small businesses. I think a lot of small businesses I've seen are closing, which is really sad. Also the economic climate, and it's just trying to juggle wanting to do the business and look after myself somehow, and we're in this weird economic time where people might not be wanting to buy things, so it might be seen as frivolous or not necessary. It's just been hard.
So since we're talking about social media and that you've sort of turned more to social media for your selling, maybe now's a good time to talk about Etsy.
My unpopular opinions on Etsy.
Yeah, should we do a pretty kind of, Etsy is obviously a wonderful platform that lots of creatives use and provides an audience and all the things, they're wonderful. And now over to your experience.
But no, Etsy is a wonderful platform. It really is. But there's big buts.
Yeah.
No. So with Etsy, I think it appeals to a lot of small businesses starting up because their fees appear quite small, and they only charge you like when you sell things, basically. But it got to a point for me that I have moved away from Etsy because they started changing a lot of things, and I don't think I'm the only person in the world to think this either. But the way they change things has negatively impacted a lot of the middle small businesses, it seems like. So I think it was in April. So what Etsy do is they charge you for like 4 different things for each thing you sell. So you have like a listing fee, which is something like 14p or something, which seems great. And then you get charged like a processing fee, and I think it's VAT as well. Because the thing with Etsy is you're basically paying their VAT, was what I think. I could be completely wrong. There might be some commenting on YouTube now going, that's not right. Because as a business, I don't pay VAT because I don't meet the threshold by a long shot. But you have to pay VAT on your items. And what a lot of people that do Etsy and are very successful on Etsy will say is, well, just build it into your prices. Just put the build it into your prices, which a lot of people were doing. Then April came and they massively upped their like standard fee, and then they started doing advertising fees that you sort of can't opt out of, and they were quite high. And a lot of people argue that, oh, well, it's cheaper than Amazon, it's cheaper than eBay, sort of thing. But then Etsy stopped looking after their sellers as well. A lot of people felt like, so there was a big thing that happened. Why Etsy did a lot of these changes was because during lockdown, a lot of people set up Etsy accounts, because anyone can set up an Etsy account. It's really easy, it's really straightforward, which again appeals to a lot of small businesses because it's great. You just log in and sort of type your stuff in, you're good to go. It's really laid out really simply for you. But then in lockdown, a lot of people started drop shipping through Etsy. Now Etsy's big thing is everything's handmade, everything's handcrafted or vintage. That was always meant to be the point of Etsy. Is it's different to Amazon, it's different to eBay because everything's handmade, everything's from small businesses. But then people started drop shipping or buying really cheap stuff off of Wish, AliExpress, that sort of place, and then reselling it for ridiculous amounts of money on Etsy. And it was even a case last Christmas when I was still selling on Etsy. There was a couple of, I think they were like reindeer shells or like centerpieces from B&M that people were going buying and then doubling the price and putting it on Etsy and trying to pass it off as handmade. And Etsy wasn't removing these listings, and they weren't removing the sellers because they're breaching the terms and conditions of your selling contract with Etsy. So there was a lot of small businesses who were doing well, but then they started to not do so well because there was people selling stuff really cheap, but it wasn't handmade. And it's just a mass-produced element. And if you don't know Etsy and how Etsy works, of course you're going to go to Etsy and type in bookmark, and you're gonna come up with these things that are like £2, and you think that's great, I'll buy that, because you think you're supporting a small business. So Etsy then had to rethink and look back, and so also what's happening is people were putting these listings up, making loads of money, and then not shipping anything out. So then Etsy then had to basically take the brunt of it and refund people for not receiving their items, but the sellers had closed the accounts and done a runner basically. So Etsy then decided to change how they do refunds, which is a massive issue that a lot of people have. I never actually experienced it myself, but it started to show that Etsy weren't looking out for the sellers that sort of make them their money, is how a lot of people started to feel. Because you have people who are saying items haven't been delivered, they're not as described, things like that, not giving the seller a chance to rectify it. They're just opening a case. And I've seen many times on different forums I'm on, people saying, someone opened a case against me, I can prove it was delivered to their address, but Etsy refunded them within an hour. And I never even saw the message. It was the middle of the night, sort of thing. And it was happening more and more and more and more. And so you had this going on. People didn't feel like Etsy had their back as a seller, because ultimately we make Etsy their money. And I think it was in 2020 and 2021, they basically doubled their profits in those years, the previous years. Every year they're doubling their profits. So there was people starting to think, well, they're getting their money from the sellers, they're not looking after the sellers. The customer sort of doesn't see any of this. So they put the fees up, they changed the refund policies, and then they started to introduce something called Star Seller, which is you have to hit a certain threshold to get this like badge that customers can see to say that you're a fast shipper. You've got like 100% 5 stars, all those sorts of things. But the thresholds for them to get there are quite high. Like you have to sell, I think one of them is like £200 a month to just like get this badge, and that's not always possible for a lot of people. Like I know one month I did really well and would have met that, but the next month I made a tenner. So then you lose this like badge that customers are looking for. So then that started to detrimentally affect sellers as well. And I think for me, my final, I'm not sure about this anymore, is, and it seems so petty, but a lot of people did the same as me and was like, I'm kind of done with this. So Etsy quite often will send out codes to sellers for free listings. And so this code went live that you got, I think it was 100 free listings, and people started sharing it on these Etsy forums. There's a lot of Instagram people who their business is like helping people with their Etsy shops, so they were sharing it. And then Etsy went, no, none of you are having this code. It was meant to be sent out to only people who attended this like Etsy TED talk, I think it was something like a forum discussion thing. It was only meant to be sent out as a thank you to those people who attended that. But there was no, on the email that was sent out to people who got this email, it was never said that you're not meant to share this code, it's only for these people. So obviously everyone used this code and everyone wanted the free listings because people want to save pennies where they can, sort of thing. And then Etsy removed the code for everyone. And I think that was that point where I was like, you could have done that. You could have just honoured it. And they didn't, and they chose not to. Which I'm saying, it's their business, it's their prerogative to do what they want. But I think at that point, there'd been a lot of stuff going on with Etsy that everyone was sort of like, I'm not very happy with this. I don't want to give you my money anymore. Especially when people do say, you put the fees in your prices, but when you're having to basically double your prices to equate the fees, it sort of stops being worth it. Because then, like we spoke about, you fall into that category of you're kind of outpricing your work, and people think, well, why would I pay that for this? It just stops, it puts customers off, I think.
So that that chat on craft fairs brings us to a good point to talk about it. We have started doing craft fairs together quite a lot, which started because there's a particular set of fairs in Folkestone that are pricier than I would usually pay because of sort of the scale of the thing, and it's outdoors, and we have to have like a industrial gazebo and all the things. And so I asked you if you wanted to share the pitch so that we could share the cost a little bit. And it's been really fun. We did our first one in June, which I think was our experiment. Can we tolerate each other for a day?
Yeah.
And it's really gone well, although we made no money at that fair.
We made... Did we lose money at that?
I did. I made a loss. I don't know.
Even, but I only broke even because we shared the pitch.
Yeah.
We shared the fee.
But I think it'd be good to talk a little bit about in-person selling, because for me, so pre-pandemic had really focused on that and found it a really good way to make money, because people were coming across my stuff where doing social media was just shouting into the void. And it was an opportunity to actually, directly sell, meet people, expand my business that way. And generally at a craft fair, I'd make, some money. And it was quite good. This year, it's been very hit and miss. So I just thought it would be interesting to talk about sort of our experience of selling and some of the stories. Yeah. How do you find it?
I love it. And from someone who's generally quite socially awkward and introverted, it says a lot. I do enjoy it. But I think it's because when you're selling on online, you don't necessarily get the feedback. You don't necessarily get the "oh, your stuff's lovely" comments, and I'm very much someone who likes that. I'm very much because when you say online, you have repeat customers, which to me, I love having repeat customers because it means that you do like my stuff and you think it's good quality and you've come back for more. But when it's in person, it's just nice to be able to have that face-to-face interaction and talk to people and be like, I made this, this is how I made it, this is what thought went into it, and you get to have that little conversation and they get that insight into you as well and why you're doing this, and it just makes it a bit more personal. And I think customers really like it as well because they can sort of see that you are an actual person. You're not Amazon, you're not this faceless person, you are a person. That's what, again, with the TikTok things, people see that you are a human being that is just trying their best. And I do think it helps. And then you do get that, oh, your things are really lovely sort of comments.
I'll sell on my own. It's not like I always need a partner in crime, but it's nice to have someone that that, because sometimes you can be sat there for an hour and to just have someone that you get on with. There's another writer that I sometimes sit with at author events called Jo Babington Jones. So she's another one that if I'm at an event, I'll ask to be near her because we get on, we pass the time, So that's really great. And I just feel it really helps to have somebody there just to chat and have a laugh with. And you and I are like witches of Easter.
I'm not going to deny that.
I mean, including the tiny dog that went past.
Oh, the tiny dog.
We lost our minds over. It was a very small dog.
It was so small. It was like this big. I'm not convinced it was a dog.
And what's nice is when you have an interesting customer interaction, each other's eye, and it's brilliant. Although you never saved me.
I never know what to say. There's one in particular that I think is the one you're thinking of as well. And I couldn't think of anything to say that wasn't going to get me into an argument with this woman. So I did the adult thing and said nothing and left you to your devices.
I think because sometimes people come up and they want to talk to you about, you know, why they're buying the thing or why they're drawn to the thing. And it's lovely. Again, it is one of the positives. But sometimes while they're telling you, you've got all the customers looking and you can't go, oh, hi, and engage with them. And also,
I do try and engage with those people for you. I do try and grab them.
We pick up each other's. But sometimes it's also that you know, both of us are a little bit socially inept and we end up in a conversation and we don't know how to get out of it.
It's like, help me.
And I think that there's that aspect as well of dressing your stall. As I say, it's not just the product costs. You've got your stall fee, anything you need, like your gazebo or your bits and bobs that you're putting on your stall, and your tablecloth and your bits, all the stuff, plus your transport, plus insurance. Often they don't always require it, but they generally do, public liability insurance. And all of that put together, it actually can be quite expensive. And then when you have people quibbling because your item that a few hours take costs whatever, you know, it's people being people. It's fine. I don't take offense, but it's funny.
It's funny. And sometimes it's that little bit of, if only you knew.
Yeah. If you could give your absolute top tip for someone maybe in the same kind of creative business as you, or just creative businesses generally, what do you think is like the absolute top one for you? Put you on the spot.
Yeah. I would say don't be afraid to be yourself and be open and upfront with people, because I think I really struggle, and I know a lot of people who are in similar industries really struggle with imposter syndrome and feeling like no one likes their stuff, no one wants their stuff. But I think I think for a while I did it with my Instagram. I was just, it's got to be just about the business. I've got to be professional. And then once I started being more of a person on that page as well, and then doing the craft fairs in person, just being myself and letting people have that insight into me as a person, when people start to sort of see you as a person and they like you as a person, it makes them more want to buy your stuff, and they sort of can see the philosophy behind it a bit more and see why you're doing it, and they can see that, oh, if I support this person, it's going towards this. Whereas I think a lot of people are becoming disillusioned with the, I don't want us line Jeff Bezos' pocket sort of thing. So I nearly called him for Daddy Bezos.
Look, you know Jeff is my name. I should clarify. I once emailed Jeff Bezos about a complaint from my business, and it got resolved. So,
hey, yeah. Daddy Bezos. For me, I like to see, like, I try and support lots of businesses, and I like to see that they're a person. I think when I see Instagram accounts or Facebook or whatever that is just selling, it can be a bit off-putting. I think that's my main top tip, would be yourself and don't be afraid to put yourself out there, because you find your people. Embrace your weirdness and find your people. They're out there. Just
and I think like
stumble upon them,
and not to, you know, not trying to be Instagram, just being.
Yeah, because I think there was a long time where Instagram, especially for small businesses, is everything had to be polished and perfect, and you had to take everything from the right angles, and I think it's slowly starting to be, let people see the messy side of you and see the messy side of your business and the struggles and things, because I think it makes people realize that you're a person and
A person with bills to pay.
And
you know,
at the end of the day, we want, like, I know I want people to buy my things because they love my things, and that it will mean something to them. And then
you that they
and then I can see that it means something to them because they've bought it, and then they can see how it means so much. It means to me for they've actually bought it. So it's that nice sort of relationship thing.
Yeah, that's lovely. I like that when I ask that question, I've had a different answer every time, and that's so nice. It's a nice place to kind of wrap things up. So where can people find you if they would like
Instagram. Instagram is, I think it's, my actual @ is whispering.wren. Whispering.wren. I'm sure Emma will link.
I'll link it
down below. But Instagram, I'm on Instagram constantly. I am on TikTok and Facebook under the same thing, and it's all linked. If you go to one, you'll find the rest.
Yeah, brilliant. And I'll link. I'll link all the things, and I recommend your naked lady earrings. So go check those out.
Oh, everyone! I've also got some booby Christmas ornaments coming. Everyone loves the boobs, the naked ladies.
That's true. Thank you so much. It's been lovely talking to you today.
Thank you for having me.